Okay, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here because I've already filled up two whole 15-minute videos, and I think we all have better things to do than to watch videos. And we will cover this stuff in class, but I kind of just want to make sure that we get to everything right now. So let's look at what I've done. I've got the project working, right, with the before and the after, and everything is pretty much everything we want to do. In our script, I've added a few things. We've got our selector for button name. Remember this attribute reference. And then I've added this if-else logic here. And let's take a look at what's happening. What I'm saying is that if this thing that we're clicking on has a class is a jQuery convenience method that says check to see if something has a class, and it's going to return a Boolean. We can actually, well, we won't do that, but trust me, this is going to return either a true or false. So this has class active. If it does, it returns true. If not, it's false. So if the thing that we're clicking has a class of active, we actually don't want to do anything, right? So this is our active state, our blue color. If we click on this, we don't want to change the image, and we don't want to change the state of our buttons. So I've commented here, do nothing, but really, it's just nothing in that space. Else, if the thing that we're clicking on does not have a class of active, then we want stuff to happen, right? We want to assign the class active to this button, and we want to assign an active state to the image that we want to show. We also want to fade in the image that we want to show and fade out the image that we don't want to show. So that's what we're doing here. Image active, remove class active. Remove class, again, that's a nice convenience method in jQuery. And we're going to just chain these things together. So we're going to remove that class, and we're going to fade this image out. We're also going to fade in the image we do want to see, and we're going to add the class active to it. Next, we want to affect the buttons. So again, we're going to add the class active to one, and we're going to remove the active class from the other. So the one we want to remove it from is the one that has the class. So here we have button.active, remove class active, and this, remember, the one that we're clicking on, gets the class active. And one last thing, I had a little bit of trouble when I was setting this up, trying to figure out how I was going to make sure that one was actually showing when we landed on the page here. So when we load, I get nothing. And there's a couple of things working in concert here. The images inside of our image holder I set to display none. Display none means exactly what you think it means. It means don't show it. So we don't want to show our images. Why don't we want to show our images? The reason we don't want to show them when the page loads is because we want one to be visible and one to not be visible. And the easiest way I thought of to do that was just to hide them all, and then in our script on load, we're going to hide the one, or we're going to show the one that has an active state. So image.active show. Show works very similar to fade in. The opposite, of course, would be hide out, or hide, which would be the same as fade out. But as you can probably guess, hide and show just show something instantly. Fade in and fade out show something at a speed. I believe this defaults to like half a second, but you could actually draw this out to be longer. So this is in milliseconds, so 1,000 equals 1 second over here. Let's see what that looks like. These nice long fades. Could do one that would be 10 seconds long, and it would be kind of ridiculous. But let's just show it just to see what it looks like. And there you go. You get this crazy long crossfade effect. Or if you leave it blank, I think it defaults again to either, it might be 200 actually, 200 or 500 milliseconds. But we'll just leave it blank because that's all. It seemed to be a good speed otherwise. And that's all for the action inside of our JavaScript. Real quick, let's take a look at what's going on in our CSS. Remember we had we had our spacing set up already, but we hadn't done anything with our buttons on the left. This is just real kind of crude style that that I set up just for demonstration's sake. What I did was I gave our buttons a color of blue, so that's their natural color. Each button would be blue. I gave it a cursor style of pointer. Pointer is what gives you the nice little hand icon on something that's active, right? Indicates that it's a button. Width 100%. I didn't want them to be all the way wide because, I don't know, they just kind of look funny as this great big long thing. And I gave them padding of 4 pixels. Padding is there's two properties that are kind of similar in CSS, padding and margin, but they do pretty different things. Padding is the inside of an element, and margin applies to the outside of an element. So the padding in this case, notice I still have the outlines turned on for our divs so we can see everything. The 4 pixels refers to everything around the word before, so it's pushing outwards so that those lines aren't just right on the button. Probably easiest if I just remove that so you can see it. Notice that the spacing now is, you know, none, so it's looks a little, yeah, it's just a way to kind of make things breathe. By that same token, I could add margin, say margin 4 pixels, and you're going to see that the buttons push away from one another. So the margin is everything outside of that space. And I'm actually going to leave that in because I kind of like the way it looks. And next we have a hover style here. So button : hover is how we indicate that. And what I'm saying is that when I hover on a button with my mouse, I want the color, the text color, to change. I'm using just the named colors rather than hex values for the sake of simplicity. But here we go. We go from blue to orange whenever I hover. That's only on the inactive buttons. And the way that I decided that was to actually add a separate style for the active buttons. So buttons with the class active, again, indicated with no space between the two classes. So things that have both of these classes. The cursor is default, which is the opposite of pointer. Default is the arrow. Color is white. That is a hex color, but I could also just use white. And the background color is blue. So the active button is indicated with a blue background and white text. And then I've got one other style here, which is a hover state on my active buttons, which is that I don't want the text to still turn an orange color, right? I want it to be white. I don't want it to be indicated at all. So, so that's what I'm using that for. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of this this outline class here because I'm really just using it for the sake of my own, yeah, just so I can kind of see where everything is. But there we go. We have this nice, pleasing image toggle for building that was once standing and no longer is. Okay, great. Hope you found this interesting. I hope that it kind of gives you some ideas in terms of how to proceed with your projects and maybe other things that you can do with simple selectors and methods in jQuery. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll go over this. We'll kind of walk through this all together on Tuesday and hopefully get into a couple of other things as well. Okay, see you then. Bye.